Hello everyone, welcome to Write It. Good evening. First of all, please tell me whether my voice is clear and I hope the screen is also clearly visible. आप सबको आवाज़ अच्छे से आ रही है? Are you guys able to listen to my voice? वॉइस एंड वीडियो ऑल क्लियर? ठीक है. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so those of you who haven't joined the channel, make sure that you join the channel. Those of you who haven't subscribed to the Telegram channel, make sure they do this. Echo हो रहा है. अभी आप लोग बताएंगे, अभी आवाज़ सही आ रही है? What about now? अभी आवाज़ कैसी है? What about now? I hope the voice is clear now. अब ठीक है. अब तो पंखे का समय आ चुका है, थोड़ी देर बाद एसी का समय आ जाएगा, तो ऐसी हिसाब है. ठीक है, चलिए. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट आवर NBFC चैप्टर. सो NBFC चैप्टर अगेन we've understood about NBFCs particularly. हम लोगों ने NBFCs के बारे में पढ़ा था. ठीक है, तो NBFCs के बारे में एक बार आप लोग थोड़ा सा रिकैप कर लीजिए. लेट्स डू रिकैप of NBFCs. Can you tell me what are the most important principal business conditions that any particular non-banking financial company needs to fulfill in order to be truly called an NBFC by Reserve Bank of India? What is the principal business criteria? Can anyone tell? बताइए. इसमें आपको वो 50-50 क्राइटेरिया याद आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा? 50% of your assets should be involved with respect to financial space and 50% of your gross income should definitely come from your financial asset or business. ठीक है, इज दिस द कंडीशन नॉट? नेट ओन्ड फंड्स तो अभी मैंने पढ़ाया ही नहीं है, सो दैट्स अ सेपरेट मैटर. यस, ऑल ऑफ यू रिमेंबर दिस. सिमिलरली वी ऑल्सो अंडरस्टूड द डिफरेंस बिटवीन बैंक्स as well as NBFCs. So what are the various things that NBFCs are not allowed to do? Anyone? What are the various things that NBFCs are not allowed to do? They are not allowed to do, or they are not allowed to accept public deposits. So you did not watch my previous lecture. No, not an issue. Public deposits. If there are no not public deposit, demand deposits. If there are no demand deposits, so no point of payment and settlement. So if no payment and settlement, they also cannot issue check. Isn't it? and then no provision of DICGC. Okay, so all of these things seems logical to you. I hope most of you remember this whole thing. किसी कोई समस्या with respect to understanding whatever we discussed previously? Okay, so in today's session what we're going to do is we will understand different types of NBFCs. We will understand, how they are regulated. Are all NBFCs regulated by RBI, or are there any other NBFCs that are regulated by some other regulators? That also we will see. Lastly, we will also do scale-based regulation in today's session. Okay, so these three things we will try to complete in this session. Okay, later on in NBFCs, in the upcoming classes, we will be focusing on core circulars of NBFCs, especially with respect to, let's say, its net worth requirement and other aspects. Okay? Chaliye. So let's start. Okay, initially, I've mentioned about this in the notes that I'm preparing. You will get to understand each and everything. Okay, so we are also including such kind of things as well, so that you can understand the proper definition that are being provided by the Reserve Bank of India, particularly with respect to public funds. So in context of NBFCs, when you see public funds, they are not the same as public deposits. Public funds in case of NBFCs, you must have seen that a lot of NBFCs have been allowed to accept public funds. So what do you mean by public funds? Public funds include public deposits, inter-corporate deposits, that means companies, NBFC in putting deposit into another NBFC. Bank finance, that means bank is providing money to NBFCs to do whatever NBFCs want to do with respect to onward lending or something like that. And all funds received, whether directly or indirectly, from outside sources, such as fund raised by issue of commercial paper. So commercial paper is nothing but a money market instrument to raise short-term money from the debt market or from the money market. Okay, so all these kinds of funds are known as public funds. Okay. And they are categorically mentioning that even though public fund include public deposits are not allowed for an NBFC to accept, especially core investment companies. And we will understand what these core investment companies are. Okay, these are a type of NBFCs, and there are multiple types of NBFCs. But understand that public funds is not limited to public deposit. It also includes, the funds that you receive from the market, the funds that you receive from the bank, the funds that you receive, from other companies also. ठीक है, तो ये चीज़ क्लियर हुई आप सबको कि पब्लिक फंड का मतलब होता है, जैसे यूजुअली हम लोग पब्लिक फंड का मतलब क्या समझते हैं कि जो नॉर्मल पब्लिक से मिल रही है, नॉर्मल कस्टमर से आपको मिल रहा है, बट वो उसको हम बोलते हैं पब्लिक डिपॉजिट. पब्लिक फंड के अंदर पब्लिक डिपॉजिट तो आता ही आता है, उसके साथ साथ और भी चीज़ें आती हैं. जैसे कोई और कंपनी अगर आपको पैसा दे तो वो भी एक पब्लिक फंड है, कोई और बैंक अगर आपको पैसा दे तो वो भी एक पब्लिक फंड है, पूरी मार्केट में से आपको अगर पैसा मिल रहा है मनी मार्केट में से तो वो भी आपका पब्लिक फंड है. तो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर come, or they do come within the definition of public funds. So I hope all of you understand the difference between public funds and public deposits. चीजें क्लियर है? Is this clear or not? Okay, चलिए. Now let's move on to different types of NBFCs. अब देखिए different types of NBFCs can be understood into multiple ways. So there are NBFCs that you can define in terms of liabilities. That means are they deposit taking NBFCs or are they non-deposit taking NBFCs? When we talk in the context of deposits, we are talking about public funds as well as public deposits. Naturally, public deposits too. Then there are multiple types of NBFCs that you can identify on the basis of scale-based regulation. So this we will understand scale-based regulation, then we will be able to understand this much better. But even before that, on the basis of activity that they conduct, we will be identifying multiple NBFCs. So for example, you must have seen various different types of NBFCs, or let's say different type of companies which you think is working somewhat in finance, but they are not bank. So for example, do you really feel that stock exchanges, are they NBFC or not? What do you guys think? Is stock exchange an NBFC or not? What about insurance company? Is insurance company an NBFC or not? Is merchant banker an NBFC or not? Is payment aggregator an NBFC or not? What do you guys think? बताइए, सोचिए, मतलब आप उस लॉजिक से सोचिए, आर दे अ फाइनेंशियल कंपनी? एंड इफ दे आर अ फाइनेंशियल कंपनी, देन आर दे अ बैंक? So you think from that regards. So if you see overall understanding, they all are non-banking financial institutions. They all are non-banking financial institutions. Okay, because they all provide you financial services, but they are not within the definition of banks. So technically, all of them are non-banking financial institutions. Okay, that's why it's very critical that you understand that you do not limit your understanding of NBFC to those companies regulated by RBI, because most of the time what we do is we think that if that particular company is not regulated by Reserve Bank of India, so naturally it must not be an NBFC. This is what I wanted you to understand. If you see NBFCs, that they are present across multiple sectors. So naturally, not all will be regulated by a single regulator. Some other companies will be regulated by other regulators like SEBI, like RBI, like PFRDA, etc., etc. Okay, so this is the distinction that you need to understand, and this is what I wanted to tell you about. That if you see the regulation, the Reserve Bank of India obviously does not regulate all financial companies, especially all non-banking financial companies. It depends upon the nature of the activities. Financial companies may fall under regulatory purview of other regulators. If let's say RBI starts to decide, or let's say RBI decides to start regulating each and every type of non-banking financial company, so they will be subjected to, those companies will be subjected to dual regulation. One RBI will be telling them to follow rules, one SEBI will be telling them to follow rules. So such kind of thing do you really want in the overall market? What do you guys think? In the overall financial system, do you really want dual regulation? Natural सी बात है. You do not want. You want clarity. You do not want overlap. So there are multiple type of companies as well as individuals as well as institutions that are regulated by different types of other regulators. So you have merchant bankers. See, merchant bankers do what? How many of you are aware about merchanting transactions? In merchanting transaction or merchant bankers, they are like brokers that have information about various type of clients and customers. So if let's say this client wants some goods from this particular country, or let's say they want some kind of goods, and this broker basically, or this merchant banker has this facility to source whatever good that this client is demanding from another country, they'll be able to do this transaction. Okay. So such kind of facility is being provided by merchant bankers. And then merchant bankers also provide services in the stock market as well. Just give me a sec. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Okay, and then you have stock exchange. Stock exchange we've already understood initially. Ki stock exchange does what? It basically provides a platform for buyers and sellers to come together at a single place and do the trade transactions. Then you have stock brokers like Zerodha that play a very important role in stock exchange. Naturally comes under the purview of SEBI. So these kinds of non-banking financial institutions are regulated by some other institutions. Similarly, you have insurance companies for which you have a separate regulator called IRDAI. And all the alternative investment funds, particularly the funds like hedge funds, like venture capital fund, all these VCs basically invest in startups. Okay, these kinds of funds are also regulated by separate regulator other than Reserve Bank of India. So they are regulated by SEBI. You have Nidhi companies which focuses upon providing credit and saving services to its members. Comes under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. You have chit fund companies, committee system, you must have heard about it. Okay, such kind of chit funds, let's say if has been started, it comes under the purview of state governments and they make regulations regarding this. So what does this tell you? This tells you that not all NBFCs are regulated by Reserve Bank of India, and it's very critical that you guys remember whatever is written over here. Okay, remember whatever is written over here. Most of the time the questions can be that merchant bankers, or let's say not insurance companies, alternative investment funds, such kind of NBFCs are regulated by which entity. So such kind of questions will definitely be asked in the examination. So you prepare accordingly. Okay, is this clear to each and every one of you? Please tell. Payment aggregators do that. Payment aggregators, do they make payments and settlements? or do they provide facility for various kinds of institutions to do settlement? Is it the payment and payment aggregator that does the settlement, or is it the banks of these different what you call the merchant and the customers, those do the settlement? बताइए, पेमेंट एग्रीगेटर करता है या उनकी बैंक्स करती हैं? ठीक है, चलिए. Okay, so shall we start types of NBFCs? So this is what we call investment and credit company. So investment and credit company means any company which is a financial institution carrying on its principal business of, let's say, asset finance as well as providing credit, or what you call investment and credit. And if they are mentioning that these two businesses should be its principal business, what do you understand by this? In terms of technical understanding, can you tell me what do you understand by it? बताइए, जब हम लोग प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस बात करते हैं तो दैट मीन्स सच काइंड ऑफ कंपनीज विल बी more than 50% of their asset should be investment or loan assets, isn't it? And more than 50% of their gross income should come from these assets. So that's what the role of principal business criteria. Are you guys able to understand this? How such kind of things are now being utilized? Yes, Anushasan, correct. Yes, Mukund, correct. With that same particular logic, now this is the only thing that you need to focus on. And based on different types of NBFCs, we have different criteria. So in investment and credit company, you do not see any kind of different criteria. You have that 50% criteria. But as and when we go to multiple different companies like infrastructure finance company, over here you see a higher percentage. So it is critical that you guys remember such kind of definition, because most of the time a question will inevitably be asked in the phase 1 or let's say in the phase 2, that how much percentage of its total asset should be with respect to infrastructure lending under infrastructure finance company, which is an NBFC. So if you have not read about it, so you will directly put 50%. So it's categorically important that you remember all these different NBFCs, understand what's their role is, and understand their technical requirements also. Exam के लिए यही सारी चीजें important है. Make sure that you remember this. Is this clear to each and every one of you? चलिए, let's start with housing finance company, HFCs. So again, in order to understand what's a housing finance company, a literal understanding can be, so these are the companies that provide money so that customer can buy houses, so that, and the customer can be personal customer, basically what you can say, individuals, customer can be corporates, but the money should be gone towards housing development. Housing can be commercial real estate, residential housing, etc. So such kind of basic understanding you inevitably can get just by reading what exactly is housing finance company. ये सब तो आपको समझ आ ही जाता होगा ना कि हाउसिंग फाइनेंस लिखा हुआ है तो नेचुरल सी बात है, ये इनका सबसे बड़ा, इनका जो सबसे मेन काम होगा, प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस जो होगा वो होगा पैसा देना, जिससे लोग घर बना सकें या फिर रेसिडेंशियल बिल्डिंग्स खड़ी कर सकें या फिर बड़ी बड़ी कॉर्पोरेट हाउसेस कॉर्पोरेट बिल्डिंग्स खड़ी कर सकें। इतना तो आप सबको समझ में आता होगा कि नहीं आता होगा, जस्ट बाय रीडिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर नेम ऑफ द कंपनी। ओके, तो once you understand this, but then you also need to remember the technical requirements of it. And what are the technical requirements? See over here. It is an NBFC whose financial asset in the business of providing finance for housing constitute at least 60% of its total assets. Very critical. Over here, it is not the 50-50% business criteria. Rather, in housing finance company, it should be minimum 60%. ठीक है? And out of this 60% assets, not less than 50% should be by way of housing finance for individuals. That means majority of your money you should not only provide to the corporates, but it is your responsibility that minimum 50% should go to residents or basically individuals so that they can purchase their homes. So if I ask you, for instance, if let's talk about HDFC Limited previously, which was only concerned about housing finance. HDFC Limited previously, before merger, it was concerned with housing finance. If let's say HDFC Limited used to provide 70% of its total assets to housing finance, minimum how much percentage do you feel should go to individual housing finance? Can you tell me? On the basis of this whole case scenario, can you tell me answer of this? Natural सी बात है, they are basically saying that it should be minimum 50% of this. So technically it should be minimum 35%. Is this understandable to each and every one of you? समझ आया सबको? बेसिकली वही बोल रहे हैं कि हाउसिंग फाइनेंस हो ना आप, तो आप मोर देन 60% ऑफ योर, ठीक है, मोर देन 60% ऑफ योर ओवरऑल एसेट्स को आपके हाउसिंग फाइनेंस में होने चाहिए, ठीक है। लेकिन जितने भी आपके हाउसिंग फाइनेंस के एसेट हैं, उन एसेट का 50% इंडिविजुअल हाउसिंग फाइनेंस में आपको देना है, क्योंकि बाकी आप कॉर्पोरेट फाइनेंस को दे सकते हो, ठीक है। अच्छा, माई बैड, ठीक है। इट्स आउट ऑफ द टोटल एसेट, नॉट दिस पर्टिकुलर एसेट्स। यस अनुशासन, यू आर राइट। सो इन दिस केस इफ यू सी ओवर हियर, तो वट एवर लेट्स से 70%, इवन इफ they invested, तो minimum 50% should be individual housing. Okay, so they have secured a huge chunk already for the individual houses, and total you can include within, and this much 60% is the overall requirement. So technically they are saying even if you want to increase it to, let's say, 70 or 80, you can do it because of your corporate interest, but the individual housing should not go below 50%. Okay? Is this clear to each and every one of you? याद रहेगा सबको हाउसिंग फाइनेंस? ठीक है, अब तो ये क्या कहते हैं, चेंज से भी याद रहेगा, है ना? चलिए अब नेक्स्ट कंपनी की बात करते हैं. नेक्स्ट वी हैव infrastructure finance company. Okay, as you can understand from the name itself, previously housing finance companies were limited to the housing infrastructure, but when you focus on infrastructure financing company, you are talking about the overall infrastructure sector. So it is a non-banking finance company which deploys at least 75% of its total assets towards infrastructure lending. हाँ पूरा ही लेंगे, डोंट वरी. Okay, which deploys at least 75% of its total assets towards infrastructure lending. So what do you understand by this? Ki, see, first of all, various kinds of various kind of sectors, they want to include or get themselves included within the infrastructure definition. Who defines what exactly or what kind of sector actually consists or comes under the infrastructure? कौन डिसाइड करता है बताइए? कौन बताएगा आपको कि ये वाला सेक्टर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर के अंदर आएगा? Who decides it? What do you guys think? बेसिकली मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस डिसाइड्स इट. ठीक है, तो मल्टीपल सेक्टर्स, फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे आप मान लीजिए सीमेंट हो गया, ठीक है, रोड कंस्ट्रक्शन हो गया, रेलवेज हो गया, है ना, रेलवेज हो गया, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स कम्स अंडर द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर. इफ अ पर्टिकुलर NBFC which is also known as infrastructure finance company, they need to provide loans to these different infrastructure sectors, है ना. तो cumulative loans to these sectors should form 75% minimum of IFC's total assets. For any credit company, loans are these assets. Okay, so over here the principal business criteria percentage is much more. So I hope you guys will be able to remember this. So you discussed investment and credit company. It was about 50%. You discussed housing finance company, 60% / 50%. You have IFC. Over here you see 75%. So please make sure that you remember these percentages so that whenever a question comes, you are able to easily do it. Is this clear? Chaliye, now let's move on. Next is infrastructure debt fund. Now this infrastructure debt fund obviously provide funds to the infrastructure sectors only, but it is a special type of fund in which this NBFC is only permitted to provide money or refinance post commencement operation state infrastructure projects that have completed at least 1 year of satisfactory commercial operations. Okay, so this is the first condition. Second condition is it is permitted to finance toll operate transfer projects as the direct lender. ठीक है, तो आइडिया इज they are not providing money for any kind of greenfield project. ग्रीनफील्ड प्रोजेक्ट होता है जो एकदम शुरुआत से ही आपको स्क्रैच से शुरू करना है. ओके, दैट यू नीड टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द स्क्रैच. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेट फंड इज कंसर्न्ड, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेट फंड is only concerned with respect to those kinds of projects, ठीक है, which have already started commercial operations, commercial ops, and 1 year has been, passed, and they have been, satisfactorily running it ops. Okay, so these conditions needs to be fulfilled, and it is only in these kinds of areas that infrastructure debt fund companies needs to provide money to them. Okay, तो जब भी आपको अगर पूछा जाए कि in majority of, let's say in general, if you have to provide finance for infrastructure projects, so which particular NBFC would you recommend? Please tell me, which NBFC would you recommend? IFC or IDF? हाँ, बस टोल ऑपरेट ट्रांसफर प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए दे सकती है और किसी और चीज़ के लिए नहीं दे सकती. सो दिस इज द ओनली एक्सेप्शन दैट यू नीड टू रिमेंबर. टोल ऑपरेट ट्रांसफर, अ PPP मॉडल, पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप मॉडल, in which obviously the private company has to operate and then transfer the project to the government. चलिए, next is core investment company. Okay, so core investment company again is a company that is in the business of acquisition of shares and securities which satisfies the following condition. ठीक है, it is in natural सी बात है, आप देख रहे हैं कि it's an investment company, it's a core investment company which is in the business of acquisition of share and securities of, let's see, it holds not less than 90% of its net assets in the form of investment in equity shares, preference shares, debt or loans in group companies. Okay, its investment in the equity shares including instruments like compulsory convertible into equity shares within a period of not exceeding 10 years in the group companies and the unit of infrastructure investment trust only as sponsor constitute not less than 60% of its net assets. And then its asset size is 100 crore or above, and it accepts public funds. If they fulfill these kinds of conditions, they are called as core investment company. So let's understand this. When they are categorically mentioning कि core investment company क्या होती है, investment से आपको समझ में आ रहा है कि they are mostly into buying equity or shareholding of various companies or various group companies like Tata, Adani, etc., etc. Okay, obviously they can also invest in other type of shareholding. So what, in order to consider them not as an investment company but rather as a core investment company, because आपने यहाँ पर भी देखा है, you've seen over here that we have investment company over here as well. But in order to distinguish this investment company from the core investment company, you need to understand that that particular company needs to be a serial investor. So investments or its total assets must include 90% of such kind of equity assets. Is this clear? Another condition is that they must accept public funds, then only we consider it core. And then they also must be having 100 crore asset size or above. ठीक है? तो natural सी बात है, if such kind of activity is happening, will RBI be putting more stringent rules on core investment company or less stringent rules on core investment company? So what do you guys think? Natural सी बात है, more stringent rules, isn't it? So that's the whole idea. Okay, one more thing, there is one distinction into it. इसमें एक distinction है, जैसे for example core investment company is mentioning about that when you talk about core investment companies, we are concerned about investment in form of equity. ठीक है? Whether you talk about normal shares, whether you talk about preference shares, or whether you talk about debt or loans. ठीक है? So these kinds of asset in group companies must be 90% of their total assets. Okay? And it is within this that they are saying, if you consider your total assets, equity shares, including all kinds of debentures that will be converted into equity within 10 years, plus your investment in InvITs, infrastructure investment trusts, they cumulatively must be minimum how much percentage of their total assets? बताइए. Yes, 60%. Is this clear? रिपीट. अच्छा, इसमें क्या पूछ रहे हैं? हेयर ग्रुप कंपनीज डजंट मीन ओन ग्रुप कंपनीज, राइट? नहीं, ओन ग्रुप कंपनीज, इट्स नॉट ग्रुप कंपनीज ऑफ मल्टीपल. सो दे आर लाइक होल्डिंग कंपनीज. सो इट्स लाइक think about it like Adani Capital holding majority share of multiple Adani companies. Adani, you can say Adani Wilmar, Adani Green, Adani Ports, Adani Transmission, etc. etc. ठीक है? Okay, अनुशासन, is this clear? And then प्रदीप, इसमें जैसे अगर आप मान के चलेंगे इसमें, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इसको एग्जाम्पल से समझो. Let's call Adani Capital, they have put equity और they have equity share investment कितना कर रखा है. बट NOFHC तो उसके लिए है ना, बैंक्स के लिए. CIC बाकी सब का कॉरपोरेट्स के लिए. NOFHC तो केवल जितने भी फाइनेंशियल कंपनीज हैं उन सब के लिए. इंग्लिश मतलब आपको क्या पसंद है? मतलब द आइडिया ओवर हेयर इज that within these lectures, if you're not able to understand anything just because of the language, just please tell me. ठीक है, I will be explaining the concept in English as well as in Hindi also. ठीक है, तो आपको अगर नहीं समझ में आया तो प्लीज़ पूछ लीजिए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. All our lectures, whether on YouTube, also whether in the course, they are being done in both Hindi and English. ठीक है, so we do not want language to be a barrier. ठीक है, तो अब I was explaining this to Pradeep. So Pradeep, if you see, in case of equity shares, if let's say Adani Capital invested 100 crore in equity shares, ठीक है, and then in debt they have invested another 100 crores, and in let's say what you call investment in invites is 50 crores, or let's say not 50 crores, let's take it 10 crores. And the total assets of Adani Capital is 220 crore. So can you tell me, will you call this company as a core investment company? What do you guys think? Will you call this company as a core investment company? Try and calculate, because if you calculate, this is the total assets, and these assets, which is their core investment, this is 210 crore. If you divide 21 divided by 22, it's obviously more than 90%. So we fulfill first condition. So first condition is fulfilled, that's sure. Now the next condition is that amongst these equity as well as invites, if you calculate them, 110 crores. So this is coming out to be 110 crores. This data should be minimum 60% of total assets. So if you divide it, it's coming out to be 50% only. So it is not fulfilling that 60% condition. So thereby it will not be considered as an core investment company. Yes. Okay. So I hope both of these conditions are clear to all of you. क्लियर है कि नहीं क्लियर है? यहां तक किसी को कोई समस्या, प्लीज आस्क. Does anybody have any issue with respect to understanding these different types of NBFCs? Yes, Pradeep, correct. ठीक है, चलो. अब since obviously because we have to complete the syllabus also, so I will be providing most of the lectures of NBFCs because it is a very big chapter. I will also provide most of the lectures of NBFCs in a recorded format also. Okay, you guys will be notified about the release of recorded format on this Telegram channel. So make sure that you join the Telegram channel. ठीक है, about the updates, so that you do not miss about it. Okay. Otherwise, just by we have anyways a limited time period within the live session. Now you have the management session also. So let's just wind up session over here. I will provide you recorded classes, and in the next live session you will be notified. Okay, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up this session. डेली 200-300 सब्सक्राइबर बढ़ रहे हैं. हाँ, तो आप लोग ही ग्रो करवा रहे हो हम लोग को, है ना. हम तो अपने एंड से जितना बेस्ट दे सकते हैं आप लोग को. वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग यू नॉट ओनली ऑन यूट्यूब, ऑल्सो इन द कोर्स. ठीक है, वी आर इंश्योरिंग दैट वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग यू द बेस्ट कंटेंट एज वेल, विच इज़, ये देखिए यहाँ पर आप लोग देख ही सकते हैं. आई वॉज जस्ट प्रिपेयरिंग द NBFCs notes directly from the RBI website. All of you can see it from it. The latest RBI circular से ही आपका कंटेंट पूरा बनाया जा रहा है, as you can see. So I'm trying to give you the best possible content as possible, as much as possible. ठीक है, all these complex circulars I am trying to simplify for all of you guys. आप लोग ऐसे ही अपना सपोर्ट दिखाते रहिए, and Righted will definitely be providing everything for the students. Yes, complete syllabus of Reserve Bank of India static will be covered on the YouTube. ठीक है, इसके बाद सुमित सर की क्लास है, तैयार रहिए, है ना. सुमित सर की क्लास में तो मज़े और ज़्यादा आते हैं, पढ़ाई भी मज़े भी, है ना. चलिए, थैंक यू गाइस फॉर जॉइनिंग. विल मीट इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन. थैंक यू, बाय बाय.